Hi, and welcome to lesson 23.2. So if we look at this specific problem, it says find the volume of the cone and round your answer to the nearest tenth. Before we can start, let's take a look at our cone and see what we see. So what I notice when I'm looking at this cone is it has a circle base and a line directly to this center of the circle. That tells me that this 6 yards right here represents our radius. It also has a line from the circle base going to a point up there. That tells me that this 14 yards represents the height. In order to find the volume of a cone, we must understand that a cone can fit inside of a cylinder. The exact measurement is a cone is about 1/3 the size of the largest cylinder that it can actually fit. So that actually helps us because we can plug it into the formula V equals pi r squared, which represents the area of the circle base. And we're going to take the height and we're going to divide it by 3. So in the end, we're going to multiply pi by r squared, and we're going to multiply it by the height divided by 3. Because if I drew kind of like a cylinder, excuse my terrible 3D drawing, but you can see that the cone fits inside the cylinder. It's about 1/3 inside the actual cylinder. Now we know that the formula for finding the volume of the cone is V equals pi times the radius squared multiplied by the height divided by 3. We can plug in our values from this specific problem. We're going to continue to use 3.14 for pi, multiply it by the radius of the circle base, which is 6 squared, and then we're going to multiply it by the height, which is 14, divided by 3. Now I know with order of operations, we're first going to evaluate 6 squared. So I know 6 squared is 6 multiplied by 6, which equals 36. So I'm going to then bring down the rest of my equation. 36 multiplied by 3.14 multiplied by 14 over 3. So now we're going to start with the first step. We're going to multiply 3.14 by 36. So zoom in with me. We're going to go ahead and go right down here. We have 3.14 multiplied by 36, 24, 8, and 18. And then we have 12, 4, and 9. And when we add those together, we have 4, 10, 13, 9, 10, and 11. So we have 113 and 4/100ths as I go ahead and move the decimal point 2 spots. So this value right here represents the area of the base. So this is the area of the base. We can now multiply it by the height, 14, divided by 3. So if we do that, we're going to set up our problem. 113.04 multiplied by 14 over 3. Now I know 113 and 4/100ths is a fraction, even though it doesn't look like it. It's always over 1. So the first thing we're going to multiply across. So we're going to multiply 113.04 by 14. So we have 113.04 multiplied by 14. We have 6. 1, 12, 5, and 4. And we're going to continue with 4, 0, 3, 1, and 1. We're going to add our value up. So we have 6, 5, 2, 8, 5, and 1. Move the decimal point over 2 because of our 0.04. And we have 1,582 and 56 hundredths. Some of you might think we can stop right here. But if you remember, we now need to take this value and divide it by the 3 because the cone is a third of the cylinder. After multiplying by the height, we now need to divide by 3 since a cone is about 1/3 of the size of a cylinder. So to do that, we need to take 1,582 and 56 hundredths and divide it by 3. So 1,582 and 56 hundredths divided by 3. I like to raise my decimal point up right away. 3 can't go into 1, but it can go into 15 5 times. 0, bring down my 8. 3 can go into 8 2 times. We get 6, left over 2. Bring down our 2. 3 can go into 22 7 times. So that would be 21. We're left over with 1. Bring down our 5. 3 can then go into 15 5 times. And then we have 15. And we bring down our 6. 3 can go into 6 twice. So we're left with a volume of 527 and 52 hundredths. So if we think back to the original problem, it's asking us to round to the nearest tenth. So the 5 is in our tenth value. The 2 tells us we can leave the 5 by itself. So we have 527.5, and we're dealing with yards cubed.